Hello, 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 and welcome to the night shift. Today we're going to be doing a Cyberpunk 2077 review. And honestly, I spent a long time trying to figure out how I was going to do this because, quite frankly, what I came up with, I like and I hate Cyberpunk 2077. I liked Cyberpunk 2077 because it gives me a fun environmental world that I can go and do whatever I want into it. But on the other hand, I really hate a lot of the logistic and, quite frankly, the blatant lies that they gave us. I mean, I remember when I first saw the trailer for this game and then turn around and not only saw the trailer but then saw gameplay, and it's completely different than what it is now. But what I finally ended up telling myself was I was going to do A, give it a point value, and then kind of talk about what I like and what I don't like about the game. And I think that's fair. And I know some people right now are going, why are you wasting time doing a Cyberpunk 2077 review? We all know that it sucks. Eh, I don't know if I agree. First, let's get my point system kind of down. I think I'm just going to go with the age-old 1 through 10 and go from there. So, where do I put this game in terms of 1 being the lowest and 10 being the best? Or is it flip-flop? No, yeah, we'll go with that. One being the worst and 10 being the best. I think I have to put it I think I have to put this at a solid 4.5 maybe. And I attest a lot of that to the fact that Cyberpunk 2077, as it stands right now, if you lower your expectations and bring it down to the level of, like, this is a Fallout game, like, name any kind of Fallout game, and you'll come close to what this is. I mean, you pick up stuff, random objects, you can craft things with it. You can traverse this wide open world and have side missions and main missions and everything like that. And it was really fun for that. And that's how I felt. It almost fits side by side. So where I'm at is, like, let's start with, I guess we'll just segue right into gameplay, because quite frankly I've already kind of talked about it a little bit. It does have a very Fallout vibe to it, but it was fairly similar to how Fallout is, even when it comes to things like gunplay or melee play, where you have that first person view and you're shooting everybody, or you're hitting people. And for the most part it worked really well. I did notice quite a few times where my frame rate or something like that dipped quite a bit, and that made things difficult. But for the most part, it worked all right. The big problem I had with gameplay, I think, fell into the hands of the driving and traversal area. I know, like Fallout and everything like that, you always ran everywhere, and that made things simple, and that's fine. But in terms of Cyberpunk, the big thing was like, oh yeah, you'll drive everywhere. There's motorcycles, there's different cars. I'm telling you right now, I'm a car guy, and I love cars in games because I like to be able to traverse quickly, and I love being able to do cool things with them. I can't stand the vehicles in this game. You saw earlier in the clip that's playing in the background, I spawned in and my car flipped over behind me. And you'll see here, actually probably about right now, uh, I literally start driving and it's so hard to control things. And it gets ridiculous. So I don't know if that's just because of some settings I have or not, but regardless, the fact of the matter is it was insanely difficult for me to drive. I really did enjoy combat though, in all earnesty. As you can see, like right now, I'm basically just kind of trying to fight as many people as I can find. But really honestly, they have all this kinds of little activities around everywhere. Like this is one of those, like, you fight the thugs that are in the area and you'll find, like, you'll get cred and you'll get whatever. But as you'll see here also, we get into some environmental issues. Like, as you can see right there was a weapon on the floor. It was a sword, and because it had phased into the ground, I couldn't pick it up. And that's the kind of stuff that makes this game fail in so many ways, and that's the stability and other bugs in here. Because not only is it just that sword, but it's so many things. I'll randomly find money sitting on like a shelf and I can't pick it up because the game's not registering. As you can see, I'm trying to pick up the sword and I can't pick it up. But I find money and I can't pick it up. I find other things, and the only way you can pick it up is if you climb or get in a weird position to get it. That's why I'm constantly moving around there trying to see if I can pick it up, and I can't. That's like a huge glitch in my mind, but livable. But there are so many more. Frame rate drops. Weird, like, I'm trying to figure out the right words to kind of describe it. Well, rendering issues. That my brain wasn't working. Sorry about that. But yeah, it was rendering issues. I've seen that quite a few times, and it sucks because it's like, oh, this is a cool world, and then you look over to your right and you see a person who has no face because he's not rendered in yet. And that was another issue I found. Apparently, if you attack like these thug areas, missions, and you're not in that designated area, the game registers you as attacking random citizens, and you have the cops called on you. Which, you know, some would say, oh, well, that's not a big deal. I find it a big deal. Because the game is telling me to go do this. And when I do that, I get penalized for it. If I'm not in that certain area. Now, I'm going to get into the big one here, which is the biggest bug that I have seen is the random game crashes. And I wish I was kidding or exaggerating, or quite honestly, I wish I was, you know, lying at this point. But I tried to film gameplay for this review 4 times? 4? And every single time, I would either be in the middle of filming or I would be just getting done filming, and you'd know when it would happen because your frame rate would drop drastically, and then the game would crash and would take anything and everything with it. So I would lose my save video file and I'd have to start over. To me, that's the biggest killer of this game, is the fact that this game is so unplayable that if you try and just drive somewhere, try to do a mission that the game wants you to do, or even just walking on the sidewalk in town, the game will crash. And yeah, we're in an era where like, oh yeah, but the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, they load so quick. Yes, you're not wrong. But this isn't a next gen title yet. This game, when you load in, you load slowly. And then you have to press to start, and then you have to load in, and then it'll load in, and then you gotta click another button, and then you'll spawn in. And there's only so many times I can do the same mission before I'm just like, why am I playing this game anymore? And it really sucks because for all intents and purposes, I really liked the story of this game. And that's saying something because a lot of people have been just focusing on the gameplay and like, oh yeah, the game's virtually unplayable. And by all rights and accounts, we have to, because if you can't play a game, what does anything else matter? But when the game was working and I could play the story, I felt myself immersed. I felt like this was a game. Like, I liked the story. I kept wanting to play more. But you then ask yourself, okay, well, I want to know more, but then the game crashes, and then you gotta load back in, and load back in. And you're spending like another 2-3 minutes on your phone, or doing something else before you can even remotely continue. Or maybe you have to redo the mission you were just on because it crashed. And that's what sucks. So yeah, I hate it. I hate that it turned out this way. And thankfully, you know, I know today, as I'm filming this anyways, Cyberpunk's team, CD Projekt Red, they did release a roadmap of DLCs and updates and like next gen and everything like that, which granted I'm excited for. I'm hoping that fixes a lot of issues, but I also know in my mind that there is no fixing, I think, the current gen, and I think there is a long way to redeem themselves before we even remotely get to where we can trust that this is going to be okay. Which sucks, but I think that's the fact of the matter. So, why the review? Well, I think for starters, I wanted to do the review because a lot of people have just been going by word of mouth. I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody's like, well, I haven't played it, but so many of my friends have said this is a bad game, and, you know, oh, who am I going to argue with that? And I'll agree, you know. I did the same thing. I sat there, and a bunch of people and friends said, oh, the game's bad, don't get it. And I didn't. I only got the game because I wanted to provide a review for you guys. I wanted to show you what I was seeing, because this is the PlayStation 4 version of the game played on a PlayStation 5. So I gave this game the best chance it could possibly have on a console. And it's not great. And I wish it was better, because this was a game I was downright excited for. I was like, this game's gonna be like game of the year, and then it didn't. It's this, and that's kind of sad. It really is. So, but I really honestly, when it comes down to Cyberpunk, it comes down to what was it supposed to be, and it didn't achieve that in the slightest. So right now, save your money, save your time, and wait and see what happens with it. And that's all I can say about it.